Fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Memorial Day has passed. The June edition of the Fisherman Magazine has gone to print. And my Phillies are about 10 games under 500, so summer must be officially underway here at the Jersey Shore. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman Magazine. It is June 2nd, 2022, and summer is unofficially underway. Officially later on this summer at the solstice, but right now, Memorial Day, unofficially, it's going off, right? Summer. And based on the sheer volume of photos that I have received since Friday via text, messenger, Facebook, Snapchat, and email, I dare say that there's a lot of fish to be caught in salt water right now. Now, if you want to grab the latest, most comprehensive set of fishing reports anywhere for the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region, pick up the June edition of the Fisherman Magazine. 12,000 words worth of reports that we compiled from the Memorial Day weekend. You can look for that magazine. We had our field editors were working on Sunday while you were barbecuing or fishing. We had to compile those reports, put them in the magazine, went to print on Monday. So it should be in newsstands, your tackle shops, your marinas, your Wawas at some point this week. Subscribers, because we're a day late in printing it, expect that to arrive one day late. But look for Patrick Sebile, the lure designer of a band of anglers. He's on the cover, and you can get all those reports that we have compiled from Baltimore to Bayonne in that edition of the magazine. Glossy sections in there. The features include gearing up for small boats, for bluefin, slow pitch jigging tactics, choosing the best rod action for what you want to target and how you want to target. Think, what rod action do I need if I'm throwing a metal lip versus a pencil? Also planning for offshore and a regional rundown on some top doormat locations. That's for those of you who are looking to score big in the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. Now, when you flip to the inside section of this edition of the Fisherman Magazine, you'll find more on the local scene. Nick Honicheski's article on full moon fever in the surf, bass and drums. Planning for those day trips by new writer Tyler Deck. Scouting Jersey Shore U-boat locations, the BDV Spotlight with Wayne Young. Home turf surfcasting. I know a lot of folks have been going to North Jersey, but we're going to find in a moment that some folks staying close to home in South Jersey are doing well. That's in there, plus Mark Ettery's advice on the crossover from fresh to salt. One note that you're going to find when you open up that June edition in the news briefs: the tournament that was originally scheduled for this weekend for the RFA Bass River Classic, just found out this week that that tournament has been canceled. So if you've already registered, you should receive your refund, which means you might want to apply that refund over to another tournament, the Ragin' Raymond Fluke Tournament in Little Egg Harbor this Saturday, if you haven't already done so. Captain's meeting for the Raging Raymond Fluke Tournament out of Little Egg Harbor. So that's for Little Egg, Great Bay, Little Bay, anybody who's fluking in that particular area. The American Legion Post 493, that's on Radio Road, Little Egg Harbor. Some would call it Tuckerton, some would call it West Tuckerton. That captain's meeting is 7 p.m. It's 4 anglers per boat for Saturday. It's first, second, and third place prizes for heaviest brace of fluke. For all the details, you can call Alex at 609-845-7653. Now, where I've been kayak fishing in the upper stretches of Barnegat Bay, the bite has been good on the outgoing, but a lot less productive on the incoming tide. When it seems like there's a 4 to 5 degree temperature change, it seems to have those fish on lockjaw. I stopped in to see Jason at Fisherman Supply earlier this week. He said much the same thing from guys that are reporting in the Manasquan River. Now, back to that Little Egg opportunity for you this tournament weekend. The low tide on Saturday at Tuckerton Creek is a little after 8 a.m. So you should get a few productive drifts right after sunup on that outgoing before you might have to switch and turn over after the tide to figure out where those fish are. But from Tuckerton down to Fortescue, things are a little bit different, the reports that I'm getting. Our field editor, South Jersey field editor Anthony Califano, he reports this week that the summer flounder bite has been good on either tide for the most part, incoming or outgoing. Actually, Anthony and his wife Megan and daughter Morgan were out on Friday behind Wildwood and gulped up some fluke in what looks to be kind of nice Irish, Scottish conditions. Foggy, overcast. It's my favorite way of fishing. Different if you're on the kayak. In those situations, make sure you have a flag, a visibility flag. You want to be seen when you're out there. In case you're wondering, there are some doormats to be found. Greg at Fisherman's headquarters in Ship Bottom let me know that the catch of the weekend, as reported to the shop, was a 32-inch, 12-pound Flukosaurus for Gina Brenner. That actually stands as the largest doormat that I have seen reported yet this 2022 season at the Jersey Shore. A fine fish showing that those jumbos are in our local waters. Now you've got scattered showers and thunder showers predicted or in the forecast for Thursday as we're doing this video forecast, but the weekend looks good weather-wise for those stocking up to hit the fluke grounds on Saturday and Sunday.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Anthony also sent us some good reports on bluefish throughout the region, especially heading into Atlantic and Cape May County. In fact, the Absecon Saltwater Sportsman's Club and Chestnut Neck Boatyard, they did well by postponing that Ann and Nunzio Bruno kids fishing tournament that was supposed to be held earlier in May. That will be held this Saturday, June 4th. It's the 22nd annual event, always a classic. It's a great bluefish tournament. Lots of different species eligible in there, but the kids love fishing for bluefish, and it looks like you have a good weekend for that. You can pick up the registration over there at Chestnut Neck. I wouldn't be surprised if it's over there at Absecon Bay Saltwater Sportsman in Absecon with Dave Scholl as well. Now that area in and around and behind Absecon Inlet has really produced some epic fishing so far this season in 2022. In fact, Noel at One Stop Bait and Tackle in Atlantic City said there has been just incredibly bonkers action. I know, what does Noel always say? It's bangin'. Yeah, it's bangin'. Bluefish and bass blitzes. On the striper front, a lot of overs have been released from those jetties and sands of Atlantic City, and I'm finding out a tremendous weak fish bite as well, especially at night. You can look for the Atlantic City report in the June edition of the Fisherman Magazine. Pick up that print edition because Noel himself tells you where to go for some tide runner weak fish in the Atlantic City area if you're looking at fishing some of those pink zooms at night. And as also we found out from Nick Honicheski recently, the black bombers work equally well if you're trying to get yourself a jumbo Dreamboat tide running weak fish right now at the Jersey Shore. As we head down into Cape May County, plenty of other options as well. And Surfcasters continue to take advantage of what's mostly been an outstanding surf bite for the spring of 2022. If you think back and if you followed our fishing reports, our weekly video forecasts going back into March and April, a phenomenal Delaware river bite. Then down into lower stretches into the bottom of the Delaware Bay along Fortescue. Fortescue Beach had an epic season. We've been finding some good reports of stripers on both the east and west side of Cape May, and that action continues up into Cape May County. My buddy Manny Butera, he spends a lot of his time running up and down the Jersey Shore, fishing front and back throughout the spring. Well, he's been fishing back at his home base in the last couple of weeks, and he's been out at Stone Harbor, was out at Stone Harbor with his brother-in-law, or his son-in-law, Doug. Stone Harbor, Manny said Doug isn't able to get much surf fishing in, but lo and behold, he gets out on Saturday, personal best black drum, then he gets out on Monday, Memorial Day, and another personal best catch and release striper, 40 inches. So that is very cool. Again, a lot of good sized stripers. As you've been following in our fishing forecast, this video for the last several weeks, there are some good fish down into Cape May County as well. Of course, as you head down into Delaware Bay, the drum bite on the boats has been keeping rods bent all spring long. Since the beginning of May, that action should continue for the next few weeks here in June. The folks at Hands 2 Bait and Tackle, they said if you're in a bind, you can't find fresh clam, they said the salted clams work just fine as well. So black drum has been keeping folks busy. And yes, from shore as well, we're getting periodic reports from down along the Delaware Bay shore. Think Woodland, Broadkill Beach, some drum being caught down there. But the guys heading out of Lewis as well, it's been an outstanding drum bite down on Delaware Bay. If you hadn't taken advantage of it just yet, make sure you do so. On the Jersey side, hey, if there's no charters left, call the Bonanza. The Bonanza has been heading out of Fortescue for some time, making those nightly trips. The charter boat Duchess out of Fortescue as well. So if you can't find yourself a charter out of Cape May, you might want to sniff around at Higbee's in Fortescue to look for yourself and find yourself onto those drum grounds on the Delaware Bay. You still have black sea bass in play at the Jersey Shore. The folks at Pier 47 recommended Wildwood Reef Site. While our friends at South Jersey Marina report this week that while the bites slowed down a little bit, anglers were still able to find those sea bass limits at Cape May Reef over this past holiday weekend. So if you're looking to jump in on the sea bass bite, again, I highly recommend jumping on board one of the party boats. It gives you an excellent opportunity to have an open boat opportunity. You know, if it's just one of you, you don't have your boat, you can check in with the Fisherman Magazine, look for some of those boats that are sailing out of various ports. I know there are quite a few out of Barnegat and Manasquan, Shark River, and of course the Raritan Bay shore head boats are heading out there as well. But it is about time that you look at one of those inspected vessels transitioning to reef and wreck fluke fishing later on this month. Right now it's black sea bass. When black sea bass turns into a relative bycatch allowance for the summer, that's when you can expect those boats to start really gearing towards fluke on the wreck piles, the rock piles and the wrecks. No word yet on the porgy fiasco. We're waiting on news from NOAA Fisheries in terms of whether or not they're going to close porgies in federal waters. Just keep your fingers crossed and I will update you as soon as we find out. Again, solid surf fishing for striped bass all along the range. A few fish reported at Indian River Inlet by Eric Burnley over the weekend. On up to South Jersey, Brigantine Atlantic City is absolutely on fire. The LBI suds have been producing very well. And of course, there are bass and a number of weak fish in the mix from Island Beach to Point Pleasant for guys that are trying to get in on some of that surf casting. We move up into Monmouth County. Bob Matthews at Fisherman's Den in Belmar told us Monday that surf fishermen are doing well with the bass using clams and fresh bunker. But it has been that striped bass action off of Monmouth County by boat with super-sized stripers from 40, 45 to over 50 inches that's got everybody running and gunning along the Monmouth County shore. Quote, bunker spoons, mojos, and live eels have accounted for most of the big fish. That's according to Bobby at Fisherman's Den. In fact, Phil at the tackle box sneaked away for a few hours to fish with Chuck Tieman Manny, the Chuck Tieman Manny way, with eels under planers for bass to 50 pounds. So yeah, you've got the plugs, the majas, the mojos, jigging spoons, drift spoons, and the live bait. If you can keep those live eels away from the bluefish. Honestly, my inbox is filled with striped bass photos right now. I told you that before. Absolutely stocked with photos. I love getting your photos. Jay Hutchinson at thefisherman.com. I try to share as many of them as I can here in the video and also in our printed reports, but I got to share with you some of the more impressive catches that I've received in the last few days. Subscriber Patrick Duff, he had a 50-incher, end of 48 over the weekend, 50 feet of water off of Monmouth. Patrick said he marked a lot of fish, but said it was a slow troll bite. Also, Al Ritono was out on Monday morning with Joe Flip, Jay, and his son Mikey. They were drifting eels over the rocks and had a 51-incher that was caught and released. Eels over the rocks, the Chuck Manny way. We'll see what happens. In his North Jersey report this weekend that appears in the June edition of the Fisherman Magazine, field editor J.B. Casper said, quote, most captains that fished for the linesiders told me the fishing was some of the best they have seen in recent years, and the number of 50-plus pound fishing was unbelievable. If you are looking for a picture with a trophy striper, there is still time in June to catch one. Wiser words couldn't be said. In fact, the fish of the season for me here at the magazine so far in 2022 came by way of Dante Sorrente at Magic Tails Bucktails. I spoke to Dante on Wednesday morning. He said Adam Ross checked in while bluefin fishing, redhead who magic with ballyhoo intended for a giant tuna, instead hooked up with a giant striped bass that Adam estimated at over 70 pounds. I did speak with Adam. We texted each other on Wednesday morning. He said he's been searching for bluefin about 8 miles off the beach in 80 to 110 feet of water, where he has seen a couple of bluefin. He's marked a few fish, and the bait has shown up in recent days, but he's been trying to get away from those jumbo stripers in deep water. Jumbo striped bass, he's had 3 of them over 50 pounds, but he swears that this monster was over 70 pounds. Who am I to disagree? We talked about it. It is a monster fish. Offshore striped bass, which is exactly as what we've found in our anecdotal reporting, right? We put some satellite tags in striped bass through the Northeast Striped Bass Study, which is being done with the Fisherman Magazine and Gray Fish Tag Research, and finding so many of these fish, these jumbo stripers, are traveling distances that we thought it just didn't happen. So, I don't know, anecdotal information, tagging information shows there's something happening with these striped bass, that the fact that they're showing up offshore is more of a regular occurrence, I think. And it could be the amount of bait. I have not seen or heard much in terms of those inshore bunker schools. The live bunker and the big schools of bunker have been staying pretty far off, 8 to 15 miles out. I just hope to see them come in at some point very soon. It would be lovely to see some of that bunker bust in action right off of our beaches in the next couple of days, couple of weeks, and all the way through June. A good event coming up this week to raise money for satellite striper tags, supporting our American heroes, while giving a few professional athletes I know a chance to wet a line as well. That's coming up in 80 seconds. But first, let's check in with my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors Guy.
Hey, thanks, Jim. You know, the lake here looks quiet and calm now, but those holiday weekends, well, let's just say it's difficult for us anglers to get some time out in the water. You know, we got the jet skis, the speedboats, the tourists, really makes things kind of miserable and puts a lot of pressure on those fish. Well, guys trying to get around that are either starting out really early in the morning at first light or spending some time after dark out in that water. Now, guys like Will Grouper up there in Wallen Pompack did that. He was out after dark and found the ticket for those fussy stripers. He got into a mess of those things, even the pure strains, the hybrids. So that seems to be the ticket for getting out after dark on those stripers on these lakes. Now, your other option is to go on and hit the rivers, especially the non-tidal parts of Lake the Delaware. Our friend Tim Keebler checked in and said he's getting guys on fish consistently. It's a really nice stripers too, as they push farther up north above the tidal line, way up into the water gap here. So there's lots of great fishing up here. Also, you can move over to the Lehigh River. Friend Josh Taylor checked in. He was getting a whole mess of trout, browns, rainbows, and even a really nice brookie. Great way to spend the day getting away from some of those crowds. So a couple tips there for you guys. I hope this coming weekend works good for you. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors Guy.
Southern Regional High School alum, Rutgers alum, Clark Harris, the longtime long snapper for the Cincinnati Bengals, and my brother, will be in town Friday for the Manhattan Cup. He and I, along with Paulie Walnuts and Captain Brian Rice, aboard Jersey Devils Sport Fishing, will be looking for our three-peat performance in the classic catch and release striped bass tournament out of Jersey City, the Manhattan Cup. Hey, that's war veteran Richie Torres, who is one of the 29 warrior heroes of the day honored during the Manhattan Cup striped bass tournament in 2021. He's also defending his title as top vet in this year's Cup. If you'd like to participate in this amazing event for charity, please go to manhattancup.com, take a look at all the details. I hope to see you on the grounds this weekend. So yeah, that's why I'm a Bengals fan, because of Clark, who's been with Cincy since 2009 after getting drafted by the Packers and then spending some time with the Lions and the Texans and now the Cincinnati Bengals. I know a lot of hardcore anglers I know don't care about sports. They just don't. They're always fishing, so they could care less about the animosity between the Bengals and Steelers. They could care less about the loyalties of Giants fans versus Eagles fans. I will say this, though. If you're one of those hardcore anglers that doesn't care about sports, but you end up sitting someplace with friends sometime this fall, and you're trying to choose a team because you're sitting with buddies and watching the games one Sunday, I would encourage you to choose the team, root for the team with the Saltwater Anglers. Just before the holiday weekend, Eagles wide receiver Devonta Smith, that's him second from left, between Jengles Bait and Tackles Steve and Carol Ann Palmer. Well, Devonta joined quarterback Jalen Hurts with surf guide Connor Smilon and Eagles offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland for a little surf action in Beach Haven. Word from the Jingles crew was that action was a tad slow, but Jalen Hurts did do battle with a large, ferocious shark in the wash. Actually, it was just a doggy, but the star quarterback for the Eagles did show excellent form and appears to be in good shape for the season ahead. What do you think, Charlie? Looks good? Looks good for those Eagles? Hope you're in shape with your subscription to the Fisherman Magazine. I hope it's active and you're up to date. Our Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is underway with your chance to win a Steiger 23 Miami powered by a Yamaha 200 horsepower outboard. Eligible species include fluke, sea bass, porgy, bluefish, weakfish, tog, and yes, even sea robin. Catch them, weigh them, and keep fishing. It's a members-only tournament that runs all the way into November. You gotta be a paid member of the Fisherman Magazine. It's just $29.95. You get all 12 monthly issues delivered to your door, plus the 26 weekly digital editions. And if you're rooting around thefisherman.com and you don't have the subscription, you're only gonna get a couple of articles before you get shut out. You can get all the details on the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge and our Coastal Kayak Clash. It's over at thefisherman.com. I'll tell you, it shouldn't be as crowded this weekend ahead, not like the holiday weekend that has passed. Another couple of weeks before all the kids get out of school and the real craziness begins, so make sure you take advantage of that and get out this Saturday and Sunday. It should be a nice weekend if you're looking to score. For tactics, locations, the latest fishing reports, including the return of our offshore reports with Tom P. from Rack and Fin Radio. Look for that June edition of the Fisherman Magazine out in newsstands this week. You're going and picking up ice and coffee for your trip this weekend at Wawa. Grab that copy of the June edition of the Fisherman Magazine. Off to the cup. Wish me luck, my friends. I'll see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com. See you, Charlie.
Hey guys, it's Dave Anderson with the New England edition. Just giving you a quick rundown of what's going on in the Coastal Kayak Clash. We had 2 bluefish entered this week, both the exact same size, 34.5 inches, one by Michael Kelly, one by Scott Snyder. That puts Michael Kelly in second place and Scott in third, simply because Michael caught his fish before Scott did. We also had a 44-inch striper entered by Bob Wagner. That was good enough for second place in the category. But the most important fish of the week was Justin Oster's 20.5-inch black sea bass, which leads the category and gives him a comfortable lead for the tournament with 8 points. For second place, there are 5 guys holding down second place with 3 points apiece, but there's a long way to go. A lot of fish left to be caught and a lot of things going on in fishing right now. We're looking forward to seeing what you guys enter next week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
It's been a busy week for the Dreamboat entries. Robert Carazano steps up in a big way with a 7.83-pound weakfish, a 4.85-pound sea bass, and a 2.2-pound porgy, earning himself 20 total points. Nice job, Rob. Garrett Weir is in second place with 19 total points, while Dean Paella lands the third place position with 2 new entries. His first place, 8.7-pound weakfish and a 2.85-pound sea robin. In the bluefish category, Joe Mendez entered a giant 15.5-pound bluefish, which puts him in first place in that category and fourth place for the competition. Other notable catchers in weakfish include Michael Radowaziski with a 7.6-pounder, Sean Brownyard with a 5.4-pounder, and past Dreamboat champion Dave Weissman with a 5.13-pound weakfish. In Scup News, John Rotundi entered a 3.25-pound fish, while Elliot Arachnacci entered a 3.06-pound fish. Edward Parker entered a 2.94-pound fish, and Mike Briggs entered a 2.91-pound fish. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is a Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a new Steiger Craft Miami powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Subscribe now to The Fisherman to be part.
Hey guys, checking in here from Costa Rica from the Marina Pez Vela. The offshore fishing right now, we've had a really good run of yellowfin tuna. The schools of yellowfin tuna pushed in tight these last few days. We had some great fishing of fish, mainly in the 30 to 50 pound range with a few bigger fish. Over the offshore reefs, we had some great wahoo, 20, 30, 40 pounders have been running as well. Offshore, there's been marlin, mainly blue marlin, some sailfish, and we had a good run of mahi-mahi. Small to mid-sized mahi in the 6 to 12 pound range have been running. And then tight in against the rocks, we had some really good roosterfish fishing as well, with some big guys, 30, 40 pounders. Hope to see you guys down here soon in Costa Rica.